Call of Duty is the definitive basic bitch shooter of our time. And I don't mean that as a knock to it. The popularity of Call of Duty has been great for the gaming industry and has certainly helped bring what used to be a niche hobby into the mainstream. While the creeping movement of gaming towards the masses started long before 2007, it was the release of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare which helped solidify gaming as an escapist hobby which was for all sorts of people, rather than just nerds like me. Part of the reason for this was that the multiplayer progression system was extremely rewarding, giving the player XP after every game, which was used to unlock weapons, perks, and equipment. The result was that even if you lost a match, you'd feel like you were still making progress towards a goal. While the Call of Duty multiplayer has almost always been at worst good, the campaigns have a wide variance of quality, with Call of Duty Ghosts being widely regarded as the series' nadir, and either Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare or the original Black Ops being the apex. No, not that Apex, that's a totally different Apex. 2015's Black Ops 3 had a campaign which I really didn't like, and Black Ops 4 had no campaign at all, so with Treyarch dropping the ball on their single-player content, the pump was primed for Infinity Ward to blow us all away with their reboot, 2019's Call of Duty Modern Warfare. When it was initially announced, many people, myself included, were skeptical of a Modern Warfare reboot, but when it was stated that the campaign was aiming to be one of the most grounded and brutal yet seen in the series, my ears perked up a bit. Then the heavily memeable IGN E3 Impressions video came out.
If the headline coming out of this was, you can play this game non-lethally, I think that would have, if that had been tacked on at the end of that demo, like that would have really changed my opinion of it.
Then Cuphead champion Dean Takahashi wrote an article about how the game should be censored.
What do you think you should do to get over that pillar?
Jump and down, then jump and dash, and do down.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You think that's what he should do?
yeah.
You're absolutely right.
And narrative director Taylor Kurosaki, formerly of Naughty Dog, refused to blink. That earned my pre-order. I thought about canceling it after an Activision subsidiary made an odd choice regarding an esports player, but I guess you've got to pick your battles, and that's none of my business. And after all that grandstanding about disturbing content and white phosphorus kill streaks, I was surprised to find that the campaign wasn't very controversial at all. Other than its highly unfavorable portrayal of the Russian military, because man, the gloves are certainly back off when it comes to the Russians being the bad guys in media at this point, I honestly can't see any other element of the game really offending people. Even the mission featured in the IGN video, which takes place in a London townhouse, is very reasonable in its controversy. As Sergeant Garrick, a member of an SAS fire team led by the legendary Captain Price, you're clearing rooms of a home, carefully taking corners, and discerning which occupants of the house are hostiles and which are their relatively innocent family members. It leads to the player having to make some split-second decisions as to whether or not they should be pulling the trigger, and is extremely thrilling while being much more grounded than the bombastic, Michael Bay-style spectacle moments.
They were going to kill me!
Move!
They
Stop!
locked me in here!
Drop her. Clear.
All teams, townhouse secure. Commence SSE.
Oh, fucking hell. She was going for a bloody detonator.
Good job we dropped it in.
We made the right call, sir.
We'll bet your house.
Speaking of Michael Bay, there's also a pretty direct homage to his best film since The Rock. I'm referring to 13 Hours, his film about the 2012 Benghazi attack. So yeah, this mission is effectively based on a real event, but the imagery on display is very evocative of that film's final scene, in sort of the same way games which have a Normandy beach invasion often evoke Saving Private Ryan. The homages to films based on real events don't stop there either. My favorite mission in the game is called Wolf's Den, and is essentially the end sequence of Zero Dark 30 grafted into the tunnel sequence of SICARIO. You begin the mission as Sergeant Garrick, raiding a compound in the Middle East searching for the Wolf, which is the game's very Bin Laden-inspired villain. The hunt eventually leads to a network of underground tunnels where you take control of the CIA operator known only as Alex, who is competing with Captain Price for best Call of Duty facial hair. While around 80% of the short and sweet campaign has you playing as those two, there are a few sequences where you play as the leader of the Urziksani resistance, Farah. Farah is a very interesting character who ended up being a real standout. The missions in which you control her are few, but they're amongst the more interesting, with the first having you control her as a child in the middle of her country being invaded, and the second involving her escape from a Russian military prison. While Farah's missions certainly stand out, none of the missions lack variety. Call of Duty campaigns are often accused of being mindless linear shooting galleries, and while the linearity is certainly present here, it seems like no more than 5 minutes goes by before you're using a new mechanic. Whether it's flying explosive-equipped RC planes, painting targets for a drone, factoring in wind shifts to properly aim a heavy caliber sniper rifle, or using security cameras to guide a civilian to safety with some stealth commands. There are certainly a lot of different gameplay styles on display here. One of the notable additions to the core shooting is the ability to mount on cover or corners. I mapped it to a macro button on my mouse's thumb, so if you've been wondering how I've been hitting the L button so easily in the footage, that's why. Thank you, Corsair, and I'd be honored to shamelessly shill your products if you'd like to sponsor me. Please?
The way it works is that by hitting the mount button, you stick to a wall or cover and aim down sights, then are able to peer or lean using your aiming controls.
You also have a lot more range of motion if you're using a pistol, so I found myself often using a 1911 or Glock during close quarters situations, rather than keeping my sidearm holstered for the majority of the game as I would in prior Call of Duty campaigns. The mount was a welcome addition, and I hope the series keeps it moving forward. All the campaign missions are quite short in length, and it really helps things from getting repetitive. You can knock out the campaign in about 5 hours, and while that sounds small, the upside is that it doesn't outstay its welcome. The overall plot is nothing mind-blowing, but each mission's design is very tight and atmospheric. The characters are also quite likable and engaging, and the end result is one of the best campaigns in the series. I've personally got a soft spot for Infinite Warfare's campaign too, as it was essentially a Battlestar Galactica game, and E3N was my boy.
You know I got stage fright, right, sir?
You got feelings, Ethan?
I do, Lieutenant. I do. I carry the brain of a human farmer.
Holy shit, are you serious?
No, ma'am.
So after the major hiccup that was Ghost, Infinity Ward has snuck into my top spot for Call of Duty campaigns. The length and generic overarching plot are the main reasons I would say it's not worth a full price purchase for the campaign alone, but luckily the multiplayer is also a lot of fun. This is the first game in the series which has featured cross-platform play, and considering I never got into Fortnite, it's the first experience I've ever really had with the feature myself, and man, what a game changer. We got a few stream sessions going with the Geeks and Gamers crew, and the ease at which myself and Uche the Observant Lineman on PC were able to crew up with Ryan from RK Outpost, Geeky Candy, Drunk 3PO, and Patriarch Jeremy himself on their PS4s was really amazing.
I've already got my identity worked out, because I am identifying as a black man.
The only thing that could have made it easier is if the consoles had a native Discord app. Geeky Candy had to run Discord on her phone through earbuds while wearing a headset over top for her game audio, which did work, but is not exactly an elegant solution. While both Xbox and PS4 do have their own dedicated party chat system, additional options wouldn't hurt. We probably could have used in-game chat, but considering it was a stream on my channel, I didn't want to take the risk of running into any unknown parties throwing out naughty Call of Duty trash talk language. Not all games are as squeaky clean as Fortnite, and not all players are as upstanding and patient as Ninja.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit? You shut up when I'm talking to you! You shut your mouth!
As for how Modern Warfare's multiplayer plays, it's good.
Pretty good.
It's Call of Duty multiplayer, with all the modes you'd expect and a few new ones, including a new version of Ground War, which is essentially Battlefield's Conquest, complete with vehicles. Domination is my go-to mode, and most of the matches are a lot of fun. I find the map selection is a bit uneven, with Piccadilly being notably bad, but more are bound to be added over time, and there will be no paid map packs this time around, so the player base won't be fragmented the way it often is. The flexibility of the loadouts is quite good, the kill streak rewards are satisfying, and the sense of constant progression is as good as it's ever been in a Call of Duty game. There is no major reinvention of the wheel going on here, but that's okay. The competitive multiplayer suite is still a blast to play with friends.
That all being said, the weapon balancing needs a lot of work. The M4A1 is essentially ubiquitous right now, and for good reason, because it's as accurate as a laser beam, and it's pretty powerful even at range. Camping is also very prevalent, and the progression system doesn't exactly encourage loadout diversity, so if you've disliked Call of Duty multiplayer in the past, this one is not likely to change your opinion on it. There isn't a zombies mode, and personally that's never been my bag, but in its place we have the return of the Spec Ops cooperative missions. Spec Ops is an uneven but promising mode so far. It's a 4-player co-op mode which has you completing various objectives in large open maps with mechanics that feel a bit different than multiplayer or campaign. You choose your loadout at the beginning of the mission with all of the options you've unlocked in the multiplayer mode at your disposal. You can then pick up small packages around the map which give kill streak rewards, ammo, grenades, or armor. Yes, armor. This stat isn't a factor in any other mode, but here you have to monitor your armor, as your recharging health isn't really up to the challenge of this mode on its own. There are also roles you can select, which effectively give you a hero ability, and maybe it's my medic bias, but the medic revive skill seems to be the most effective. It'll let you clutch revive every member of your team from a distance, no matter how far away you are. When you're eventually down, your teammates have 30 seconds to revive you before you die. When you die, you have 1 minute before you can jump out of the plane and rejoin the fight, a bit like a Battle Royale mode. The catch is that if one more teammate dies while you are dead, the counter resets for both of you. If all 4 allies are downed, game over. This mode is very difficult, much more so than the standard campaign, so the main game ending with "the story continues in Spec Ops" is a bit of an odd advertisement, as it really feels like a totally different game from a mechanical standpoint. However, the complex, teamwork-heavy objectives are certainly engaging, require a lot of thought, skill, and team coordination, and when you do finally make it through one of these monstrous missions, it feels great. The mode would be a lot less frustrating with some kind of checkpoint system, or if the enemy spawns were a little less frequent, as it seems like there's not even a second to breathe and consult your team the way there is in, say, a Destiny raid. Hopefully improvements will be made over time, and Spec Ops will become the reason to return to this game regularly with friends, as there's a lot of potential here, even if it is sort of broken right now.
The overall package of Modern Warfare is quite worthwhile, and so long as Activision resists the urge to monetize the game in nefarious ways, it will remain an active and fun game to play well into 2020. But if you aren't a fan of competitive multiplayer or have major interest in super challenging co-op missions, it'd be hard for me to suggest you buy the game at full price for the campaign alone. That is, unless you're in the market for a high-budget, slick campaign which has tons of great moments, charismatic characters, and some Easter eggs for fans of the original Modern Warfare trilogy. Then you'll be quite pleased with what's on offer here. Modern Warfare is absolutely worthy of its status as the summer blockbuster of gaming this year, as a lot of effort, care, and money was clearly put into it, and as long as you know what you're signing up for, you'll have a fantastic time with Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So who's got the best facial hair in Call of Duty, Alex or Captain Price? It really could be either one of them. I'm just kidding, it's Captain Price.
We'll bet your house.
Hey everyone, it's Jeremy from geeksandgamers.com, and if you're a fan of Geeks and Gamers, please go to our website, visit our merchandise store. We have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, beanies, tank tops, and in the very near future, we're going to have many more products for you to choose from. So thank you for the support. We appreciate it. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you later.